David's mother. David was a school-going kid whose mother had just one eye. He disliked his mother for having just a single eye. He always felt embarrassed of her and did not insist on her visiting his school to pick him up. David's mother ran a small plant shop at a flea market. She worked hard and sold whatever she could to earn enough money to make ends meet. David hated their living conditions and wished to be rich when he grew up. One day, David's school organized a Parents' Day event and all children were asked to invite their parents to school. David did not want to be a laughingstock in front of his friends and hence decided not to invite his mother. However, David's mother found out about it when she read David's school diary while packing his lunch. She thought that David had forgotten to tell her and decided to surprise him with his favorite snack. When David's mother arrived at school and called out to him, he was furious to see her. David's friends laughed at him and said, "Is that one-eyed monster your mother? She looks funny." David ran away in tears. When they reached home, David yelled at his mother, "Why did you come to school? You're such an embarrassment. I never wanted you to come to school and that's why I didn't invite you. Look how everyone laughed at me. You are the worst mother ever." David's mother said nothing. She went to the kitchen to start preparations for dinner and sobbed quietly. David had come to the kitchen for a glass of water and saw her mother sobbing but did not console her. Although he felt a little bad for misbehaving with her, he was determined to study hard and leave her behind for a better future. Years passed and David indeed grew up to be a good student and a rich man who earned handsomely. He left the city and his mother behind and built a big house in a different city. He now had a family of his own whom he loved immensely. He broke all ties with his mother and never contacted her. Even his wife and children didn't know about his mother. Once when his mother had come to visit him, David pretended to not know her and drove her away, treating her like a beggar. She walked away with a smile and no words, again. A few days later, David received an email from his school inviting him to a school reunion. David took his family to the reunion to meet his friends, hoping that his mother wouldn't show up at school after their last encounter. David's daughter lost the earrings she was wearing at the reunion party and made a fuss about it. So, David decided to go out and buy new ones for her. When David happened to pass by his old house, he stepped in out of curiosity. He could not find his mother anywhere but only her diary that she would often scribble in. After all these years, David finally got to see what was written in it. David was heartbroken to find out that his mother had donated her other eye to David when he lost it in an accident during his childhood. She had journaled her dreams and aspirations for David in that diary and all those times when David misbehaved with her. Each time she wrote, "I forgive you, my son, I know you love me and I love you a lot." Her last words were, "David, I wanted to see you as a rich and successful man living with a happy family before I die. The doctor said my days were numbered. I wasn't sure if you would come down with your family at the reunion, and even if you did, whether you would bring them to our house. For one last time, I forgive you, my son." David cried uncontrollably. He hated himself for being so cruel to his mother. But it was too late. Subscribe to my channel for more stories like this.
He used to live in a small house near the big road outside the village. After marrying a farmer's daughter from nearby, he started fixing wheels for a living. Because they both worked a lot, they saved a good amount of money. But they were sad because they didn't have any children. Finally, they had a baby boy, and they named him Gene. They loved him a lot and always wanted to be with him. When Gene was 5, some funny people came to the town and set up a tent in the square. Gene saw them passing by, so he sneaked out of the house. His dad looked everywhere for him and found him with the clever goats and dogs, laughing and sitting on the lap of an old clown. 3 days later, during dinner, Gene's parents noticed he wasn't in the house. They searched the garden, but he wasn't there. His dad went outside and shouted, "Gene." The night came, and a strange mist made things look far away and weird. 3 tall pine trees nearby seemed sad. Still, there was no answer, but the air was filled with strange sounds. The dad listened for a while, hearing something here and there. Worried, he ran out into the night, calling Gene. "Gene!" He kept running all through the night until the sun came up, yelling so loud that even animals got scared. He felt really upset, thinking he might be going crazy. His wife sat on the step outside their house, crying until the morning. They couldn't find their son. They got old quickly from being so sad. Finally, they sold their house and went to search together. They asked shepherds on the hills, people passing by, villagers, and even authorities in towns. But their son had been lost for a long time, and no one knew where he was. He might have forgotten his name and the name of his village. His parents cried quietly, losing hope. Soon, they ran out of money. They worked on farms and inns, doing the hardest jobs, eating scraps, sleeping on the ground, and feeling cold. As they got tired from the tough work, no one wanted to hire them anymore. They had to ask for food along the roads. They begged people with a sad voice and faces, asking for a bit of bread from farmers having lunch under a tree in the fields, eating quietly on the side of a ditch. One day, an innkeeper they told their story to said, "I know someone who lost their daughter, and they found her in Paris." Right away, they went to Paris. When they got to the big city, they felt lost because it was so huge and full of people. But they believed Gene had to be somewhere there, even though they didn't know how to find him. They worried they might not recognize him since he was only 5 the last time they saw him. They went everywhere, walked through all the streets, and stopped whenever they saw a group of people, hoping for some kind of luck or fate to help them. Often, they just walked without a plan, looking sad and poor, and people gave them money without them asking. Every Sunday, they stood outside churches, watching the crowds going in and out, trying to find a face they knew. A few times, they thought they saw him, but it was always a mistake. In the entrance of one church they visited a lot, there was an old person who gave out holy water. They became friends because he also had a sad story. Eventually, the 3 of them lived together in a small room on the top floor of a big house far from the center of the city. Sometimes, the wheelwright would help at the church when their friend was sick. Winter came, a really cold winter. The kind person who gave out holy water passed away, and the parish priest, who knew about the wheelwright's troubles, asked him to take over. Every morning, he sat in the same spot, on the same chair, leaning on an old stone pillar. He looked closely at everyone entering the church, eagerly waiting for Sunday because the church was full all day. He got very old, getting weaker each day from the church's dampness, and his hope slowly faded away. Now, he knew everyone who came to the church, their habits, and could recognize their footsteps on the stone floor. His world became so small that a stranger entering the church was a big event. One day, two ladies came in, one old, the other young, maybe a mother and daughter. A man followed them and bowed to them when they left. After giving them holy water, he took the older lady's arm. That must be the younger one's fiancé, thought the wheelwright. Until evening, he tried to remember where he had seen a young man like him before. But the person he was thinking of must be old by now, as if he knew him from his youth back home. The same man often walked with the ladies, and the old man couldn't figure out where he knew him from. It bothered him so much that he brought his wife along to see if she could help him remember. One evening, as it was getting dark, the three strangers came in together. After they passed, the old man asked his wife, "Do you know him?" His wife tried hard to remember. Suddenly, she said in a quiet voice, "Yes, yes, but he is darker, taller, and dressed like a gentleman." "Still, dear, it's your face when you were young." The old man was shocked. It was true. The young man looked like him, his dead brother, and his father when he was young. The old couple were so moved that they couldn't speak. The three people left the church. The man touched the holy water sprinkler. Then the old man, whose hand was shaking so much that he was spilling holy water on the ground, exclaimed, "Jean!" The young man stopped and looked at him. He said again, but quieter, "Jean." The two women looked at them, confused. He said it a third time, crying, "Jean." The man bent down, close to the old man's face. A memory from his childhood came back, and he said, "Papa Pierre, Mama Jean." He forgot everything else, his father's last name, and the name of his hometown. But he always remembered those two words he had repeated so often, Papa Pierre, Mama Jean. He sat on the floor, his face on the old man's lap, crying. He kissed his father and then his mother, and they were almost out of breath from intense joy. The two ladies also cried, understanding that something very happy had happened. Then, they all went to the young man's house, and he shared his story. The circus people took him away for 3 years, traveling to different countries. When the group broke up, an old lady in a big house liked him and paid for him to stay with her. Since he was smart, he went to school and then to college. The old lady, who didn't have kids, left him all her money. He tried to find his parents, but he could only remember the names Papa Pierre, Mama Jean, so he couldn't find them. Now, he was going to get married, and he introduced his fiancée, who was very kind and